And we are live.
Yay! Fresh from my weekend with Alien Romulus, I am old new dude, and he is.
Richard York, Asher's trueborn son.
So, if you're a fan of the Alien franchise, it's definitely a movie that I would recommend. It's a good popcorn movie. It's got really good special effects. It's got really good practical effects, throwing it back to the original Alien movie. Um, am I engulfed into that fandom? No, I'm not. But I do like good movies. I do like special effects. I
Does
grew up with John Carpenter's The Thing, so practical effects. It was really heavy in my childhood, early years. So I love special effects. I mean, it. I think that it is a relaunch to the franchise that Prey was the relaunch to the Predator franchise. And if I had to pick, I'm more of a Predator guy than an Alien guy. But and on the Predator note, hey, excrement. There is two more Predator movies, Prey 2, which will continue from the Prey movie, of course, and then there's one called, I believe, The Badlands. And I know this is a song of Ice and Fire, but it was on my mind. It's something that I saw this weekend. It's something that on the ride this morning we had the conversation about, and the Badlands is going to be set in a different time period than the 1800s in North America for sure. It's the with some bad movies under their belt over the years here lately. Both franchises needed uh, an IV to try to kick things going. But hey, mother. All right, that's my sci-fi. Not saying that A Song of Ice and Fire is sci-fi or anything, because that'll get you just destroyed online.
definitely. I don't know about that. I think
Yeah.
there's some pretty good evidence for it, but go on.
Well, I mean, I tend to agree with you on that, especially the cave that is north on the river above Ashai, the possible nuclear fallout that's coming out of the river, the
This bullshit.
potential for all the genetic tampering that was done there, strains, advanced technology. Um, and like some of the people that pointed out, even if this is sci-fi, it doesn't take away from the story. The characters are the characters. How the magic happens doesn't really matter. It's happening. Regardless of whether it's a post-apocalyptic world or just straight out fantasy, or if it's part of Georgia's uh, Thousand Worlds or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Like I said, the characters are the characters. John's
Well,
John,
and
Danny's
it might
Danny.
just be. It may just be that it's done as like a nod, just like all the different Sesame Street references and some of those types of things, right? It's the Three
Well, I
Stooges
mean,
references, right?
the
It's
Black Knight, his favorite comic book growing up. I mean, this is the culmination of all his work. It's got bits and pieces of everything he's done, everything he's loved, other authors that he loves. I mean, it's got a little bit of everything that was thrown in there. He took everything, sprinkled it into a smorgasbord, and dialed it up to 11.
sorry, I was pulling up on the TV this morning. So we probably got an artificial extra count there, but I just thought I'd have us on the TV while here.
There you
Anyway,
go. It's not outside the realm. Yeah, excrement. I agree
right.
100%.
Yeah, we're not claiming it's gonna like go back and make you re-examine the entire series. We're claiming it's more like a nod, like you've theorized that maybe we see the Eiffel, maybe we see the Statue of Liberty at the end or the Eiffel Tower or something.
Well, I mean, I stop and think about this on the sci-fi side of it, and please, y'all don't get mad at us. The Red Comet could be a rogue space ship that has
Yeah, yeah. So
extremely long.
Night Flyers, right? It could be a Night Flyers reference.
Right, it could have an extremely long orbit, taking what 8,000 years or whatever to complete a rotation. So I mean, there's a lot. Hey, I got like 20 feet above my head. Uh, to tilt that down a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there, I can see sci-fi being throughout the entire story, and I can see sci-fi not being there. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm happy either way. Hey, late Thistle.
Well, Volcrum, I think Volcrum, something like that. Yeah, Preston definitely has talked about it being a Volcrum.
Oh, you talking about the name of the ship?
Oh, it's the category of the things that they're chasing. That they're trying to get to understand this alien ship thing. Yeah.
Okay, you talking about Night Flyers?
Yeah, Night Flyers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I have that book behind me somewhere.
That's what this was talking about. Well, shall we do it?
Let's do it.
I'm going to say see from the Turner's episode 6 like a dozen times in here.
All right, we'll say it 12 times and then we'll catch up.
Storm 67, Jamie 8. He's me, Jamie realized suddenly.
Oh, God. I love this. Go ahead.
A white book sat on a white table in a white room. The room was round, its walls of whitewashed stone hung with white woolen tapestries. On the first floor of White Sword Tower, a slender structure of 4 stories built into an angle of the castle hall overlooking the bay. The undercroft held arms and armor. The second and third floors, the small spare sleeping cells, the 6 brothers of the King's Guard. So the name White Sword Tower is very reminiscent of the tower named the Palestone Sword at Starfall, the seat of House Bane. And both are tended to remind us of Arthur and Shara, I think.
Right. I think it's a callback to just how special House Dane's ancestral sword is. It's not like any other Valyrian steel swords that we have in the story. I put it akin to, I think that's what they meant when they were talking about dragon steel, is the way that that's the dragon steel, not Valyrian steel swords. That would be too obvious. But the dragon steel comments on a falling star, a comet, a dragon falling from the sky, the bright flames and everything that are associated with it, and in history, some of the strongest swords were made from meteorite at their time. It was very difficult to work with, very brittle. It would often shatter when they were making it, but if they did it right, it was stronger than the other swords that were around at that time.
Right, and there's like a specific name for these legendary Japanese swords, but one of them was actually, I pointed out to you, was on sale for like $11,000 at one point.
Do they take a check?
We take a bad out-of-state third-party check?
Yeah, I pay that whole thing off right now.
What's that from? I can't remember what that's from anyway.
That was a joke. Bill Engvall, I think, about a Camaro or something.
Anyway, let's get to it. One of those. Yes, Lady Thistle. It was. He said the comet is a Volcrum. That was what he was saying. One of those cells had been his for 18 years. This morning, he'd moved his things to the topmost floor, which was given over entirely to the Lord Commander's apartments. Those rooms were spare as well, though spacious, and they were above the outer walls, which meant he would have a view of the sea. I will like that, he thought. The view and all the rest. So we know Jamie likes power, as we saw how much he missed it in his last chapter. So I don't think there's any great mystery what he means by all the rest here.
Well, you got to stop and think about it. When he first became a brother of the King's Guard and was given his white cloak, in the back of his mind, I mean, granted, up till then, all he wanted to be was a true hero. And then he gets the white cloak. And then what's the next step from receiving your white cloak? Becoming the Lord Commander of the King's Guard. And he'd been around the King's Guard long enough, I mean, to learn from them, to be in the same battles as them and stuff like that. So I'm
going to talk in here a little bit about how it's not Barristan that's the problem. It's Robert and Cersei that are the problem as well. And people erroneously claim that like Barristan's let the King's Guard fall. No, it's up to the king or the regent to appoint the King's Guard. The Lord Commander doesn't get any say.
Well, I'm assuming, and I'll throw a little bit on Barristan, that
they could be consulted. They could be consulted.
But
my suspicion is Boris Blunt there was some reason that Robert wanted to reward him for something or something, right? And so Robert probably insisted that he be on the King's Guard. I don't think it's that's just my theory. It was John Candy and Uncle Buck who asked me to take it. I think it's a bad third-party out-of-state check.
There you go. Well, that was what he said. I said about paying the whole thing off. That was it was either Jeff Foxworthy or Bill Edenwald or somebody like that. Hey, Dave Cards. Hey, Paz. Pod's memory of movies that he's never watched is awesome.
As pale as the room, Jamie sat by the book in his King's Guard whites, waiting for his sworn brothers. A longsword hung from his hip, from the wrong hip. Before, he'd always worn his sword on his left, drawn across his body when he unsheathed. He had shifted it to his right hip this morning, so as to be able to draw it with his left hand in the same manner, but the weight of it felt strange there. When he had tried to pull the blade from the scabbard, the whole motion seemed clumsy and unnatural. His clothing fit badly as well. He donned the winter raiment of the King's Guard, a tunic and breeches of bleached white wool and a heavy white cloak, but it all seemed to hang loose on him.
Hey, I know we've seen it in the TV show with Sir Arthur Dane, them drawing a sword from the same side with the same hand. So if it felt uncomfortable, he could still carry it on his left hip, but still be able to draw it with his left arm. Because we see Arthur Dane do it when he draws both swords there at the Tower of Joy fight scene. It would probably be easier than him trying to draw it off hip with his left hand.
I'll be talking about a legendary knight who fights with two swords here in a minute from our mythology. By the way,
when I said that I didn't read your emails anymore, that I just used the title, I wasn't being rude. There's a reason that I do that. I don't want to know where you have something that you're going to say come up.
Sure.
So I want, when you say something, to be a complete surprise to me. And then also because before, if I saw that you had something that you were going to say come up, then I would hold my what I was going to say and wait till after you said what you did. And with me, just a paragraph later, I'll forget what the hell I was going to say. And so that's another. It's nothing. Up until recently, I always followed religiously on your emails. It's just it became a series of steps to get me where I am now that I really like. Unless I'm really tired, and there's days like that I don't really speak much, but on the days that I do feel really good and feel the creative juices in my brain going.
You just reminded me of that I have something in here about mythology and a knight with two swords. So I just thought you kind of connected it in my head there when you were talking about Arthur Dane in the show.
Well, that's what I like about it. It feels more organic to me. And I don't know if organic's the right word or not, but it feels better not knowing when you're going to say something and not putting off when I'm going to say something so I don't forget it. So hopefully I point out more things or say more things instead of just sitting here nodding my head, listening to you read. So yeah, if I made you feel anything about not reading your emails, I do apologize.
No. Jamie had spent his days at his brother's trial, standing well to the back of the hall. Either Tyrion never saw him there, or he did not know him, but that was no surprise. Half the court no longer seemed to know him. A stranger in my own house. His son was dead, his father had disowned him, and his sister, she had not allowed him to be alone with her once after that first day in the royal sept where Joffrey lay amongst the candles. Even when they bore him across the city to his tomb in the great sept of Baelor, Cersei kept a careful distance.
Is she getting it better from the Kettle Blacks?
Not yet that we know of. He looked about the round room once more. We only know when Osney, the youngest, beds her, and then we know that she confesses that it's all three. So anyway, he looked about
the one she gives the white cloak to, doesn't she sleep with him too?
We don't have any. We only have her confessing that she did.
Okay.
Unless Tyrion accuses her. Tyrion might accuse her. I'm not sure who. Yeah, Tyrion might accuse her. That may be true.
Okay.
He looked about the round room once more. White wool hangings covered the walls, and there was a white shield and two crossed longswords mounted above the hearth. The chair behind the table was old black oak with cushions of blanched cowhide, leather worn thin, worn by the bony arse of Barristan the Bold and Sir Gerald Hightower before him. comma. So there's no comma between the bony arse of Barristan the Bold and Sir Gerald Hightower. George is clearly telling us the White Bull is an ironic nickname, like the names at the Wall of Small Paul and Giant.
Right, he's slim.
Toodles and Lady Thistle are correct. Even LML is commented on the symbolism pointed to Gerald Hightower's corn half-hand. Even using the word "my lord," using the word "lord" as the clues makes more sense if it's literally the Lord Commander, right? She's just trying to manipulate Jamie.
I agree. Yeah, Lady Thistle's right on the money with her evidence for half-hand being Sir Gerald Hightower. I agree 100%.
Yep. I wish I'd had that clear in my head when I made Tripsters episode 6.
I'm just amazed that you have those episodes down to the number of which one you need to say.
I know which ones are about.
I've watched them 3 times, and I swear I can't keep one from the other blended in my head.
What is the history and symbolism of what I call God plus ET equals J, right? 2 is the evidence in the books for that. 3 is Aegon the 7th. 4 is Dany. 5 is Jaime Targaryen. 6 is Arthur Dayne, but also the Valonqar and the elder brother. And then 7 is Val.
Okay. Oh, are you going to, before, we always talk a couple of minutes before the show, and we were talking some really nice stuff.
Yeah.
Are you going to touch on that at the end of the episode?
I thought if we have time, yeah.
All right. Okay. I'll try to shut up so we have time, because it was really good. I don't know if I'll shut up. I'm in a talkative mood today.
Yeah, that's Jamie. So anyway.
Yeah, no, I get extra excited just to make Pod mad that it is Jamie.
By Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight, Sir Ryan Redwine, and the Demon of Derry, by Sir Duncan the Tall and the Pale Griffin Alan Cunnington. How could the Kingslayer be long in such exalted company? And speaking of Dunk, Osmond is Dunk in this chapter, and Jamie is Egg, his father's double grandfather, both his father's maternal and paternal grandfather. See Triplet Tigers episode 5. Yet here he was. The table itself was old weirwood, pale as bone, carved in the shape of a huge shield supported by 3 white stallions.
Ooh, now we've seen stumps. I know I hate to interrupt you. I told you I was talking today, but we've seen stumps and we've seen bed frames of weirwood causing dreams and stuff like that. Would a weirwood table, and I don't remember if it was chairs too, possibly not make the person more noble, or but would it possibly mess with their head slightly?
Yeah, there might be one magic in it or something like that, right? That's I think that's Preston's theory about Sweet Robin, right?
Yeah.
But he sits on a weirwood throne, and that may be what's contributing to his strange hearing of the singer that's no longer and so forth. Yeah.
That and that plus the drugs that he's being given.
Sure.
Is a downward spiral that I don't think anyone can survive.
So as we say, the table itself was old weirwood, pale as bone, carved in the shape of a huge shield supported by 3 white stallions. By tradition, the Lord Commander sat at the top of the shield, and the brothers 3 to a side on the rare occasions when all 7 were assembled. The book that rested by his elbow was massive, 2 feet tall and 1.5 feet wide, 1,000 pages thick. Fine white vellum bound between covers of bleached white leather with gold hinges and fastenings. The Book of the Brothers was its formal name, but more often it was simply called the White Book.
Now, go ahead.
When George introduces the name and then immediately changes to a nickname that's always used after that, sometimes that original name has symbolic meaning. For example, Brendan Tully is called the Black Goat, an incredibly symbolic name in terms of Lovecraft and so forth, right? But then it's immediately replaced with the Black Fish. So I don't know if this is a reference to 1992's Band of Brothers or the Brothers Grimm or maybe something else, but it feels like there's something important about that real name, the Book of the Brothers, to me.
Yeah, I agree. Well, he does this all the time, the bait and switch.
Yeah, and so he gets you to stop thinking about the real name of something or the original name or whatever, right? And then if you stop and think about that original name, you realize, oh, that's where the symbolism is, and he's kind of distracted from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So I'm not sure what that is. Like I said, it could be Band of Brothers, could be a reference to the Brothers Grimm. I'm not sure.
Well, like we said, he takes a sprinkle. This series is a culmination of everything he's read, authors that he loved, books that he loved, comic
Absolutely.
book characters like the Black Knight. I mean, just little things sprinkled. His work, other people's work, thrown in a bowl, stirred up, baked in the oven at 11. I mean, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you have to be on your toes to catch them.
Yeah, we might talk a little bit about the Red Sky some more. We've talked about it before, but
Yeah.
we might talk about that at the end.
Okay.
Within the White Book was the history of the King's Guard. Every knight who'd ever served had a page to record his name and deeds for all time. On the top left-hand corner of each page was drawn the shield the man had carried at the time he was chosen, inked in rich colors. Down on the bottom right corner was the shield of the King's Guard, snow white, empty, pure. The upper shields were all different. The lower shields were all the same. In the space between were written the facts of each man's life and service. The heraldic drawings and illuminations were done by Septim, sent from the great Sept of Baelor 3 times a year. It was the duty of the Lord Commander to keep the entries up to date. My duty now. Once he learned to write with his left hand, that is. The White Book was well behind. The deaths of Sir Mandon Moore and Sir Preston Greenfield needed to be entered. And the brief, bloody Kingsguard service of Sandor Clegane as well. New pages must be started for Sir Balin Swan, Sir Osmond Kettleblack, and the Knight of Flowers. I will need to summon a Septon to draw their shields. Sir Barristan Selmy had preceded Jamie as Lord Commander. The shield atop his page showed the arms of House Selmy, 3 stalks of wheat, yellow on a brown field. Jamie was amused, though unsurprised, to find that Sir Barristan had taken the time to record his own dismissal before leaving the castle.
That's just badass.
That's not exactly true. He actually left and then snuck back in the crowds, right? And then, because he tells us this, he already explained how he came to get to Danny. So we know he snuck back into King's Landing. It's probably when he's snuck back in, because nobody's chasing him at that point, right?
Right. Well, both is. I mean, whether he did it before he left or once he snuck back in,
It's
both
pretty
are still
cool,
pretty badass. Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
it's Barristan Selmy for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's the Obi-Wan kind of, right?
Yeah, kind of. Sir Barristan of House Selmy, firstborn son of Sir Lionel Selmy of Harvest Hall, served as squire to Sir Manfred Swan, named the Bold in his 10th year when he donned borrowed armor to appear as a mystery knight, attorney at Blackhaven, where he was defeated and unmasked by Duncan, Prince of Dragonflies. So I'm not sure if George understands that a human in their first year is 0 years old and then their second year is 1 year old. So you're 1 year younger than the birthday that you will reach at the end of that year. Similarly, a calendar in its 20th century is in its 1900s. In other words, a human in their 10th year is only 9 years old, but we'll see evidence in this chapter that George might think they are 10. So I don't know. Anyway.
Well, aren't there some countries, I'm thinking of I could be wrong, but Vietnam, where they count the time that you're in?
You're saying they may count you as 1 year old when you're a newborn. That's possible.
Yeah, because there was a foreign exchange student. He was from Vietnam.
But that would make it even more ridiculous that Ned thinks that 3 is.
Well, I mean, we know George, especially on moons, until he figures it out, he tends to go back and forth, and he needs a full-time person to make sure he doesn't blow things up here and there.
Yeah. So anyway, my point is he probably thinks that Barristan is 10, even though technically the term in your 10th year should mean you're 9. But anyway, we'll see. Because I think Jamie's entry will specifically say in his 15th year, and Jamie will say when I was 15. So the implication is that's how George does it. But like you said, it also can vary by customs in our own world where that would be accurate that you'd say in your first year when you're 1 year old, even though you or I might consider that person to be 0 years old.
I fully support that, because I know it's true that in different cultures.
Pod says,
okay,
I thought that it was actually different than that. I thought either they were declaring you to be 1, or everybody actually has the same birthday and like it's the year of your birth, something like that. Anyway, my understanding is that they've kind of started to, if they haven't already completed it, to kind of transition to be more in line with most of the world.
Right. Well, I mean, definitely for a fact that different cultures throughout the world have different
Absolutely. And so
Yeah.
it could be
In the book,
you
I
have a
think
culture where that's the same, right? Where in
Right.
your year means when you're 10 years old. It's absolutely possible. Or the first year doesn't count, and we name them on their first name day, and then something like that, right? So
yeah.
maybe everybody's a year older than we think they are. That's also possible. Anyway,
Yeah. Like I said, I fully support that George probably fuddled with the math.
yeah, he probably just didn't realize that's how
Yeah,
it
it's like Will
typically works.
Wheaton playing Dungeons and Dragons, saying that math is not his friend when he kept rolling one. George and math probably aren't good terms either.
Knighted in his 16th year by King Aegon V Targaryen after performing great feats of prowess as a mystery knight in the winter tourney at King's Landing, defeating Prince Duncan the Small and Sir Duncan the Tall, Lord Commander of the King's Guard. So that might imply age 15, but it seems like it implies age 16 based on how Jamie
Well,
tells.
we're told that Jamie's the youngest to be knighted.
Sure.
Right. So,
but whether he's 14 or 15, he could still be the youngest. So
see, this might be an actual ploy of George's to
yeah,
where you don't know exactly.
He might be deliberately muddying the waters. That's possible.
Exactly.
Slew Malus the Monstrous, last of the Blackfire Pretenders, in single combat during the War of the Nine Penny Kings. Defeated Lormel Longlands and Cedric Storm, the Bastard of Bronzegate, into the Kingsguard in his 23rd year by Lord Commander Sir Gerald Hightower. Once again, who knows? Defended the passage against all challengers, the tourney of the Silver Bridge. Victor in the melee at Maidenpool. Brought King Ares II to safety during the Defiance of Duskendale despite an arrow wound in the chest. That's not nearly long enough for description of that one, but anyway.
No, I want more.
Exactly. He deserves a lot more in the book for that. Avenged the murder of his sworn brother, Sir Gawain Gaunt. Rescued Lady Jane Swan and her septa from the Kingswood Brotherhood, defeating Simon Toyne and the Smiley Knight and slaying the former. So I've heard the theory that Jane Swan's septa is the Moor, which I feel like the Moor has to be important to the reader, and my current preferred theory is Queen Rhaella Targaryen.
Okay.
In the Old Town tourney, defeated and unmasked the Mystery Knight Blackshield, revealing him as the Bastard of Uplands. Sole champion of Lord Stephen's tourney at Storm's End, whereat he unhorsed Lord Robert Baratheon, Prince Oberyn Martell, which is a contradiction from what he will tell Dany later, Lord Leighton Hightower, Lord John Cunnington, Lord Jason Mallister, and Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. So it's really strange to me that Barristan claims that Rhaegar unhorsed Oberyn at this same tourney. So Barristan definitely defeated Rhaegar in the final, and Barristan remembers Rhaegar broke 12 lances before defeating Arthur Dayne. So somehow there are people out there who think a guy who broke 12 lances before defeating the greatest knight needed to rig matches like John the Fiddler. Really? Really? Anyway. Wounded by arrow, spear, and sword at the Battle of the Trident, was fighting beside his sworn brothers and Rhaegar, Prince of Dragonstone. Pardoned and named Lord Commander of the Kingsguard by King Robert I Baratheon. Served in the honor guard that brought Lady Cersei of House Lannister to King's Landing to wed King Robert. Led the attack of Old Wick during Balon Greyjoy's rebellion. Champion of the tourney at King's Landing in his 57th year. Dismissed from service by King Joffrey I Baratheon in his 61st year for reasons of advanced age.
Before we go any farther, okay. He is named to the King's Guard in his 23rd year by Lord Commander Sir Gerald Hightower. How old is Sir Gerald Hightower?
I don't know. There's probably...
He has to be older than Sir Barristan, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Gerald Hightower. They always have age math over on the Westeros.org wiki that explains why they say he's as young as this or as old as this, and they explain why, right?
Right.
So don't this. Born 243 AC or before. So they don't know how old he is. They just know that he was born. They have a minimum age based on some comment about him.
Okay, what's the minimum age that they have? Do you know?
Now?
Yeah.
It'd be like what, 57?
He's got to be older than that.
That's right. It's right around 300 AC because they talk about it's the dawn of a new century and with the wedding. Yeah. So the wedding, purple wedding, takes place on New Year's Day, 300 AC.
Right. So if he was born
57, that'd be he would turn 57 that year. So he's almost 57. He's gonna.
Barristan is 61.
At the youngest, they have him.
Yeah. Would
Oh, your point is he's probably older than that, right? And
right.
they wouldn't dispute that he could be older than that.
Yeah. Okay. So that would put him. I mean, just a good guess would probably be in his 70s, possibly
My guess
late
is
60s.
um, I think Toodles has some pretty good arguments for what age he was when he went there. That makes sense. And of course, Toodles thinks he's foreign. So anyway,
Yeah. Sorry. I know. I'm like I said. I'm talkative today. I'm happy. It's a Jamie chapter.
where were we?
I got on my happy pants. I'm just kidding.
I was complaining that people think that Rhaegar was rigging fights like John the Fiddler. Did we get through that? Name Lord Commander Kingsguard.
Yeah, we got through the whole
The whole paragraph.
Thing.
Okay.
We're on the early part.
The earlier part of Sir Barristan's storied career had been entered by Sir Gerald Hightower in a big, forceful hand. Selmy's own smaller and more elegant writing took over the account.
Stop right there.
On the trident.
Big, forceful hand would mean that he is probably flamboyant to a certain extent, bellowing type person. The giving the nickname the White Bull would be more about probably his outward what's the word I'm looking for? His outward vibe versus his size, but it doesn't really fit with the core and half end, so it doesn't make any sense either. My bad.
No problem.
That would leave credence to him being Tormund, so I don't like that. Never mind.
Selmy only recorded one tourney for himself and just said champion without right. So it's only that very last champion was the one that he recorded about himself. One tourney, right?
Right.
And he does tell of at least one of Jaime's tourney's victories. So if he's really biased against Jaime, then why is he giving Jaime as much credit for tourney victories as he gives to himself? You know, and then when Jaime does complain, it's going to be mostly about things that took place with him, Arthur Dayne, which isn't Selmy's job because Selmy isn't Lord Commander back when those would be his job.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, our characters are often wrong.
Yep. Jaime's own page was scant by comparison. Sir Jaime of House Lannister, firstborn son of Lord Tywin and Lady Joanna of Casterly Rock, served against the Kingswood Brotherhood as squire to Lord Summer Craycall, knighted in his 15th year by Sir Arthur Dayne of the Kingsguard for valor in the field, chosen for the Kingsguard in his 15th year by King Aerys II Targaryen. During the sack of King's Landing, slew King Aerys II of the Iron Throne, thereafter known as the Kingslayer, pardoned for his crime by King Robert I Baratheon, served in the honor guard that brought his sister, the Lady Cersei Lannister, to King's Landing to wed King Robert, champion in the tourney held at King's Landing on the occasion of their wedding. So anyway, so most of Jaime's complaints are really with Sir Gerald, even though.
Yeah, I wonder if Sir Gerald didn't like him.
He didn't rig them like the Fiddler because Rhaegar won. He's way better at rigging matches. Yes, and somehow he rigged it. He rigged it so he would break 12 lances, drawing with Arthur Dayne 12 times before finally defeating him. Oh, rigged! I tell you, rigged. Yeah, right. Anyway, summed up like that, his life seemed a rather scant and dingy thing. Sir Barristan could have recorded a few of his other tourney victories at least, and Sir Gerald might have written a few more words about the deeds he performed when Sir Arthur Dayne broke the Kingswood Brotherhood. He had saved Lord Sumner's life as Big Belly Ben was about to smash his head in, so the outlaw had escaped him. And he had held his own against the Smiling Knight that was Sir Arthur who slew him. What a fight that was, and what a foe! The Smiling Knight was a madman, cruelty and chivalry all jumbled up together, but he did not know the meaning of fear. And Dane, with dawn in hand, the outlaw's longsword had so many notches by the end. Sir Arthur stopped, let him fetch a new one. It's that white sword of yours I want, the robber knight told him as they resumed, who was bleeding from a dozen wounds by then. Then you shall have it, sir, Swordmorning replied, and made an end of it. The world was simpler in those days, Jaime thought, and men as well as swords were made of finer steel. Or was it only that he'd been 15? So this is probably the best evidence, as I was saying, that George is making this mistake or whatever. But anyway, we already discussed that.
Right. One thing. Does what we're told of Sir Arthur Dayne scream Mance Rayder as far as personality wise?
Well, in the dream, he talks about how he won't bend the knee. Our knees do not bend easily.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the Mance Rayder is not flamboyant, but
he is
outwardly,
he does seem like he is the sort of guy who might do that, right?
yeah,
Who might stop and let you get along. So then you shall have it, sir. Yes, he does feel like he could easily be that guy.
right.
They were all in their graves now. Oh, really? The Sword of the Morning, the Smiling Knight, the White Bull, and Prince Lewin. Sir Oswald Went with his black humor, Ernest John Derry, Simon Toyne and his Kingswood Brotherhood, bluff old Summer Craighall, and me, that boy I was. When did he die, I wonder? When I donned the white cloak, when I opened Ares' throat. That boy had wanted to be Sir Arthur Dane, but someplace along the way he had become the Smiling Knight instead. So, of course,
That's his arc, and it's going back the opposite direction now.
Of course, the Sword of the Morning, Prince Lewin and Sir Oswald Went are not in their graves. See Triple Figures episode 6.
The black humor makes me think that Sir Oswald Went is Tormund, or before I came up with Lord William Dustin as Tormund, but the black humor made me think of just humor alone in the Tormund character. So
Was
if
Oswald
I'm
Went
wrong,
anyone in this scenario? Pod asks. Yeah, Toodles has argued that he's Oswald Kettleblack, and or are you talking about Oz? Is there an Oswald, or are you? Because Oswell is actually what we're talking about, which I think is who you mean. So Dantos has been in King's Landing the whole time, and yet somehow he recognizes Oswell and says Oswell, and then Oswell gets really upset that he recognized him. And as old new dude finally was convinced when he realized that really the Wents are about Harrenhal, and we seem to keep having Harrenhal be about this concept of sworn shields and sworn swords and Kingsguard being secret fathers of secret bastards and so forth, right? And so
there's a lot of that going on.
yeah. And so anyway, that's I've heard LML theorize. Yeah, the Kingsguard guy Oswell. Yeah, so I've heard LML say that he likes that theory that Oswald Kettleblack is Oswald Went. I've heard the Girls Gone Canon talk through it and say that they like it as well. Basically, that they're going by the symbolism and saying that they do see that from the symbolism. And certainly Toodles has laid that one out as well.
Everybody's secretly somebody, just like Jon Snow is secretly Jon Stark.
Now, Lord of the Green Hand has argued that that's that's actually Qhorin Half Hand, right?
Yeah.
And their main argument is that in the dream, Oswell seems to be obsessed with keeping his sword sharp, and that seems to be what Qhorin is doing, right?
Right. I mean, which it was years into it was years before I realized this YouTube fad is here to stay, and I had nothing to do with it, never watched it. Chris would tell me about it, and then I found Order of the Green Hand, and that was the first A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones related content that I watched. And you're often influenced by the first. And so I held everybody else to that standard. So a lot of their theories, I was in lockstep with them. It wasn't until I started getting in on the second and the third read and just coming up with things myself. The nail in the coffin really was the Catelyn sucks videos. I didn't care for. I don't think it's that way in the books. Granted, she has to suck as a mother or stepmother or whatever.
I like Alicia Patience's take on that, right? That she's supposed to be the evil stepmother to Snow, as in Snow White, right?
Well, if Jon Snow was happy with where he was, he wouldn't have been driven away to the Night's Watch, and that part of his story, just like I pointed out last time with the hidden fingers and the repeating and stuff like that. I do think that she had it in her to be a good stepmother, but she also had it in her to be a bitch. And the powers to be the Hidden Fingers needed her to be that evil stepmother.
Yeah, and one thing I really don't like is all the people out there is like, well, she fed him, and clearly there's no evidence outside of that chapter that she was. And I'm like, in that chapter, we're told over and over again that this is a pattern of behavior.
That he would run crying from her.
Yeah, he talks about how he used to run crying from her, and you can see how Rob is immediately jumping to the conclusion when he realizes that John's in a bad mood. That he immediately realizes that he talked to Catelyn, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway. If it was all roses and daffodils, then John would have been with Rob and would have died at the Red Wedding. They needed John to live. He needed to be at the wall. Just like his death at the end of the book that we have so far, he needed a way to officially leave the Night's Watch. Just like in the show, My Watch is ended. The death of Jon Snow, whether it's the way we read it in the book and it's actually Jon Snow, or it's the glamour swap with Tormund that Order of Greenhand point out, either way, the people see Jon Snow die, whether it's Jon Snow or Tormund. And now he has an official get out of jail free card.
Sure.
To leave the Night's Watch to where he can come south. So I mean, I mean, everybody's got plot armor on, and the plot still needs to move forward.
All right. Yeah, let's go. We're probably got much time to do any of our discussions that we want to do, but that's all right.
I told you need a whole video on Toodles.
Anyway, when he heard the door open, he closed the white book. And I also wanted to talk about Elio's comments about the convention. But anyway, when he heard the door open, he closed the white book and stood to receive his sworn brothers. Sir Osmond Kettleblack was the first to arrive. He gave Jamie a grin as if they were old brothers in arms. Sir Jamie, he said, had you looked like this the other night, I'd have known you at once. As Tatter shows us, the cloak makes all the difference. So personally, I believe Osmond here. Did you indeed? Jamie doubted that. The servants had bathed him, shaved him, and washed and brushed his hair. When he looked in a glass, he no longer saw the man who had crossed the Riverlands with Brienne. But he did not see himself either. His face was thin and hollow, and he had lines under his eyes. I look like some old man. Stand by your seat, sir. Kettleblack complied. The other sworn brothers filed in one by one. Sirs, Jamie said in a formal tone when all five had assembled. Who guards the king? My brothers, Sir Osney and Sir Osfrid, Sir Osmond replied. And my brother, Sir Garland, said the Knight of Flowers. I would take Garland over all three Kettleblacks.
Yeah, same.
Will they keep him safe? They will, my lord. Be seated then. The words were ritual. Before the seven could meet in session, the king's safety must be assured. Sir Boros and Sir Meryn sat to his right, leaving an empty chair between them for Sir Ares Oakhart, often Dorn. Sir Osmond, Sir Balin, and Sir Loras took the seats to his left, the old and the new. Jimmy wondered if that meant anything. There had been times during its history where the Kingsguard had been divided against itself, most notably and bitterly during the Dance of the Dragons. Was that something he needed to fear as well? Yes. The name Balin, which refers to the greatest knight of Arthurian legend, Balin the Savage, the knight with the two swords, dies fighting his brother Balan. So it's Balin versus Balan, and we have Balon. House Swan has a sigil of two swans battling. The second dance should be between the princess and the queen, and Balon has been sent to Dorne. Hat tip to this disputed Lancer point out the significance of the name Balon. It seemed queer to him to sit in the Lord Commander's seat where Barristan Bolton sat for so many years, and even queerer to sit here crippled. Nonetheless, it was his seat. This was his Kingsguard now. Common 7. Jamie had served with Meryn Trant and Boris Blunt for years. Adequate fighters, but Trant was sly and cruel, and Blunt a bag of rally air. So Balon Swan was better suited to his cloak, and of course the Knight of Flowers was supposedly all a knight should be. The fifth man was a stranger to him, this Osmond Kettleblack. You wonder what Sir Arthur
He doesn't call him sir.
This Osmond Kettleblack, yep. You wonder what Sir Arthur Dane would have to say of this lot. How is it that the Kingsguard has fallen so low, most like? It was my doing, I would have to answer. I opened the door and did nothing when the vermin began to crawl inside. So again, King Robert and Queen Regent Cersei chose them, not Barristan nor Jamie.
Exactly.
The king is dead, Jamie began. My sister's son, a boy of 13, murdered at his own wedding feast in his own hall. All 5 of you were present. All 5 of you were protecting him. Yet he's dead. We waited to see what they would say to that, but none of them so much as cleared a throat. Tyrell boy is angry. Balon Swan's ashamed, judged. From the other three, Jaime sensed only indifference. Did my brother do this thing? He asked bluntly. Did Tyrion poison my nephew? Sir Balon shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Sir Boros made a fist. Sir Osmond gave a lazy shrug. It was Meryn Trant who finally answered. He filled Joffrey's cup with wine. That must have been when he slipped the poison in. You are certain it was the wine that was poisoned? Nobody in the fandom is. Well, actually, a lot of people in the fandom are, but
It's too bad they're wrong. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
I actually think they're correct. But
No.
But as you have pointed out, it could be both.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that theory that both are correct because that regardless of whether you fall on this side or that side, you're still correct.
Yeah, I think there has to be. I think from a plot perspective, we'll see here in the next few chapters as Littlefinger tells Sansa his evil James Bond plan.
Yeah.
That
well, I mean, I just
required. Like, the Tyrells would never have agreed to marriage without the murder plot being included.
Right. Well, I mean, Cersei wasn't Tyrion dead. The Tyrells wasn't Joffrey dead. Tywin wasn't Joffrey dead.
Tyrion, possibly Tyrion.
Yeah, Littlefinger wasn't Tyrion dead. I mean, there were so many people that wanted people dead at that wedding that it's extremely plausible that both theories are correct on whether who put the poison in and all that kind of stuff it's
really interesting to be having this conversation where it's like, what else? Said Sir Boros Blunt. The imp emptied the dregs on the floor. Why but to spill the wine that might have proved him guilty? He knew the wine was poisoned, said Sir Meryn. Sir Balon Swan frowned. The imp was not alone in the dais, far from it. That late in the feast, we had people standing, moving about, changing places, slipping off to the privy. Servants were coming and going. King and Queen had just opened the wedding pie. Every eye was on them, on those thrice damned doves. No one was watching the wine club, or those thrice damned doves. No one was watching the wine club. Who else was on the dais? Asked Jaime. Sir Meryn answered. The king's family, the bride's family, Grand Maester Pycelle, the High Septon. There's your poisoner, suggested Sir Oswald Kettleblack with a sly grin. Too holy by half, that old man. Never liked the look of him myself. He laughed. So the younger of his two younger brothers, Osney, will murder the High Septon, so it makes sense that he doesn't like him.
Well, I mean, all right, you already got Oswald walking in with the smile. Now he's making a joke about the remembrance of basically, I mean, Jaime's son's death. I mean, that's not real smart.
Yeah. No, the Knight of Flowers said, unamused. Sansa Stark was the poisoner. You all forget. My sister was drinking from that chalice as well. Sansa Stark was the only person in the hall who had reason to want Margaery dead, as well as the king. By poisoning the wedding cup, she could hope to kill both of them. And why did she run afterward unless she was guilty? So Sansa echoes Catelyn as the second wife of a bigamist. Both escaped kingslaying charges while their companions are in cells here. And we know that they are innocent.
There you go.
The boy makes sense. Tyrion might yet be innocent. No one was any closer to finding the girl, however. Perhaps Jaime should look into that himself. For a start, it would be good to know how she had gotten out of the castle. Varys may have a notion or two about that. No one knew the Red Keep better than the eunuch. That could wait, however. Just now, Jaime had more immediate concerns. You say you are the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, his father had said. Go, do your duty. These five were not the brothers he would have chosen, but they were the brothers he had. Time had come to take them in hand. Whoever did it, he told them, Joffrey is dead, and the Iron Throne belongs to Tommen now. I mean for him to sit on it until his hair turns white and his teeth fall out, and not from poison. Jaime turned to Sir Boros Blunt. The man had grown stout in recent years, though he was big-boned enough to carry it. Sir Boros, you look like a man who enjoys his food. Henceforth you'll taste everything Tommen eats or drinks. Sir Osmond Kettleblack laughed aloud, and the Knight of Flowers smiled. Sir Boros turned a deep red. Beets, good color for things that Tommen won't eat.
Yeah.
I'm no food taster. I'm a Knight of the Kingsguard. Sad to say you are. So she should never have stripped the man of his white cloak, but their father had only compounded the shame by restoring it. My sister has told me how readily you yielded my nephew to Tyrion's sellswords. Find carrots and peas less threatening, I hope. Your sworn brothers are training in the art of sword and shield. You may train with spoon and trencher. Tommen loves apple cakes. Try not to let any sellswords make off with them. You speak to me thus, you? Should have died before you let Tommen be taken. As you died protecting Ares, sir? Sir Boris lurched to his feet and clasped the hands. I won't. I won't suffer this. You should be the food taster, it seems to me. What else is a cripple good for? Jamie smiled. I agree. I'm as unfit to guard the king as you are. So draw that sword, dear Fondly, and we shall see how your 2 hands fare against my one. At the end, one of us will be dead. The king's guard will be improved. He rose. Or, if you prefer, you may return to your duties. Bah! Sir Boris hawked up a glob of green phlegm, spat it at Jamie's feet, and walked out, the sword still in its sheath.
Just the notion of my man, Jamie Lannister, possibly still being a, a decent fraction of what he was.
Right.
The coward shows his stripes.
Absolutely. The man is craven, and a good thing. Though fat, aging, and never more than ordinary, Sir Boros could have still have hacked him into bloody pieces. But Boris does not know that, and neither must the rest. They feared the man I was, the man I am they'd pity. Jamie seated himself again and turned to Kettle Black. Sir Osmond, I do not know you. I find that curious. I fought in tourneys, melees, and battles throughout the Seven Kingdoms. I know of every hedge knight, free rider, and upjump squire of any skill who has ever presumed to break a lance in the lists. So how is it that I've never heard of you, Sir Osmond? From the hedge knight. Do you know every knight in the Seven Kingdoms then? The boy looked at him boldly. The good ones? I couldn't say, my lord. He had a great wide smile on his face, Sir Osmond, as if he and Jamie were old comrades in arms playing some jolly little game. I'm a soldier, though, not no tourney knight. Where had you served before my sister found you? Here and there, my lord. I've been to Old Town in the south and Winterfell in the north. I've been to Lansport in the west and King's Landing in the east. But I've never been to here or there. A want of a finger, Jamie pointed his stump at Sir Osmond's beak of the nose. I will ask you once more, where have you served? In the Stepstones. Some of the disputed lands. There's always fighting there. I went with the gallant men who fought for Lys, and some for Tyrosh. You fought for anyone who would pay you. How did you get by your knighthood? On a battlefield. Who knighted you? Sir Robert Stone. He's dead now, my lord. To be sure, Sir Robert Stone might have been some bastard from the Vale, he supposed, selling his sword in the disputed lands. On the other hand, he might be no more than a name Sir Osmond cobbled together for the dead king in the castle wall. What was Cersei thinking when she gave this one the white cloak? Dead king in a castle wall. Anyway, at least Kettle Black would likely know how to use a sword and shield. Snow swords were seldom the most honorable of men. They had to have a certain skill in order to stay alive. Very well, sir, Jimmy said. You may go. The man's grin returned. He left swaggering. Sir, Jimmy smiled at the sour knight with the rust-red hair and the pouches under his eyes. I've heard it said that Joffrey made use of you to chastise Sansa Stark. Turned the white book around one-handed. Here, show me where it is in our vows that we swear to beat women and children. I did as Grace commanded me. We are sworn to obey. Henceforth, we'll temper that obedience. My sister is Queen Regent. My father is the King's hand. I am Lord Commander of the King's Guard. Obey us, none other. Samaritan got a stubborn look on his face. Are you telling us not to obey the King? The King is 8. Our first duty is to protect him, which includes protecting him from himself. Use that ugly thing you keep inside your helmet. If Tommen wants you to saddle his horse, obey him. If he tells you to kill his horse, come to me. Aye, as you command, my lord. Dismissed. As he left, Jamie turned to Sir Balon Swan. Sir Balon, I've watched you tilt many a time and fought with and against you in melees. I'm told you proved your valor 100 times over during the Battle of Blackwater. The Kingsguard is honored by your presence. The honor's mine, my lord, Sir Balon sounded wearied. There's only one question I would put to you. You served us loyally, it's true. But Varys tells me that your brother rode with Renly and then Stannis, whilst your lord father chose not to call his banners all and remained behind the walls of Stonehelm all through the fighting. There's an old man, my lord, well past 40, his fighting days are done. And your brother? Donald was wounded in the battle and yielded to Sir Elwood Hart. He was ransomed afterward and pledged his fealty to King Joffrey, as did many other captives. So he did, said Jamie. Even so, Renly, Stannis, Joffrey, Tommen. How did he come to omit Balon Greyjoy and Robb Stark? He might have been the first knight in the realm to swear fealty to all 6 kings. So Balon's unease was plain. Donald erred, but he is Tommen's man now. You have my word. It's not Sir Donald the Constant who concerns me, it's you. Jamie leaned forward. What will you do if brave Sir Donald gives his sword to yet another usurper? One day comes storming into the throne room. There you stand, all in white, between your king and your blood. What will you do? I, my lord, that will never happen. Our characters are often wrong, as we already mentioned. Balon is a reference to brother against brother. Balon Greyjoy was taken out by his brother. Balon Swan is in Dorne, where the heir is Princess Arianne, and where Queen Myrcella is. Princess Arianne's uncle is the Rogue, Prince Oberyn Martell. Balon will be at odds with either his biological brother, his sworn brothers, or both.
We also had the just in the House of Dragon, the two twins that.
Yep. The names are so similar that they are obviously referenced to the same.
Yeah.
Yep. It happened to me, Jamie said. Swan wiped his brow with the sleeve of his white tunic. No answer? My lord, said Balon, drew himself up. On my sword, on my honor, on my father's name, I swear, I shall not do as you did. Jamie laughed. Good. Return to your duties and tell Sir Donald to add a weather vane to his shield. Then he was alone with the Knight of Flowers. Slim as a sword, lithe and fit, Sir Loras Tyrell wore a snowy linen tunic and white wool breeches with a gold belt around his waist and a gold rose clasping his fine silk cloak. His hair was a soft brown tumble and his eyes were brown as well, bright with insolence. He thinks this is a tourney and his tilt has just been called. 17 and a Knight of the King's Guard, said Jamie. You must be proud. Prince Aemon the Dragon Knight was 17 when he was named. Did you know that? Yes, my lord. Did you know that I was 15? That as well, my lord. He smiled. Jamie hated that smile. I was better than you, Sir Loras. I was bigger, I was stronger, and I was quicker. So if you were bigger, what does that make your fellow sworn brother? Little? See Triple Trans episode 6. And now you're older, the boy said. My lord. He had to laugh. This is too absurd. Tyrion would mock me unmercifully if he could hear me now comparing cocks with this green boy. Older and wiser, sir. You should learn from me. As you learned from Sir Boris and Sir Baron. That arrow hit too close to the mark. I learned from the White Bull and Barristan Bold, Jamie snapped. I learned from Sir Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning, who could have slain all 5 of you with his left hand while he was taking a piss with the right. I learned from Prince Lewin of Dorne, and Sir Oswell Went, and Sir Jonathan Derry. Good men, every one. Everyone.
That comment about slaying all 5 with his left hand is why some thought that Corn Halfhand was Sir Arthur Dane.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was just as deadly with his left hand, talking about Corn.
Yep. Well, we think Loras is very wrong. Even the least attentive reader on first read probably noticed in Dany's last chapter that Barristan is not dead. The term everyone is used by the elder brother to refer to his brothers. The elder brother describes his upbringing almost identically to the upbringing of Quentyn Martell, a prince of Dorne. The elder brother looks a lot like Marwyn and Quentyn, who looks like Doran. The one thing that seems out of place is the elder brother is tall. Prince Lewin Martell is described as tall as a tower. See Triplet Targaryens episode 6.
Yeah, you convinced me who the Quiet Brother is.
Yeah.
But I'm still holding out like a 10% chance that he's Rhaegar.
He's me, Jamie realized suddenly. I'm speaking to myself, as I was, all cocksure arrogance and empty chivalry. This is what it does to you to be too good, too young. As a sword fight, sometimes it's best to try a different stroke. Instead, you fought magnificently in the battle, almost as well as Lord Renly's ghost beside you. A sworn brother has no secrets from his Lord Commander. Tell me, sir, who was wearing Renly's armor? He, Jamie becomes truly self-aware for the first time in his life. Yes, the guy who said, there are no men like me. And he says, and then I told you there are no men like me. And then immediately argues that Brandon Stark was like him.
And then now Sir Loras.
Like, it's me.
Apparently there's several like him.
Exactly.
There is only one Jamie in my heart. That's all I can say.
It just makes it even funnier, though. I mean, it's a great line either way, and it just makes it even funnier. He says that. For a moment, Loras Tyrell looked as though he might refuse, but in the end, he remembered his vows. My brother, he said sullenly, Renly was taller than me and broader in the chest. His armor was too loose on me, but it suited darling well. In other words, Loras is, what's the word I'm looking for to describe this sworn brother? Little. See, that's for episode 6. Was the rap
you told me that at the beginning before we started that you were going to cover this. As soon as Sir Loras came in the room, I'd been sitting here waiting, listening, going, "Yep, he's right. Yep, he's right. Yep, he's right." Keep going.
Well, there's even more in here that I didn't mention in the video. Was the masquerade your notion or his? Lord Littlefinger suggested it. He said it would frighten Stannis' ignorant men-at-arms. And so it did, and some knights and lords, too. Well, you gave the singer something to make rhymes about. I suppose that's not to be despised. What did you do with Renly? I buried him with mine own hands, in a place he showed me once when I was a squire at Storm's End. No one shall ever find him there to disturb his rest. He looked at Jaime defiantly. I will defend King Tommen with all my strength. I swear it. I'll give my life for his if need be, but I will never betray Renly by word or deed. He was the king that should have been. He was the best of them. Best dressed, perhaps, Jaime thought, but for once he did not say it. The arrogance had gone out of Sir Loras the moment he began to speak of Renly. He answered truly. He is proud and reckless and full of piss, but he is not false. Not yet. 2 words and perhaps the strongest foreshadowing we've ever seen.
Yeah. Do you think the taking of Dragonstone, the whatever disfigurement that he does sustain there, is going to start to bitter him, and also see the hidden game being played in King's Landing?
Well, I mean, I think for the Kingslayer to be calling the Queenslayer not false, not yet, is pretty ominous.
Yeah.
As you say, one more thing and you may return to your duties. Yes, my lord? I still have Brienne of Tarth in a tower cell. The boy's mouth hardened. A black cell would be better. You're certain that's what she deserves? She deserves death. I told Renly that a woman had no place in the Rainbow Guard. She won the melee with a trick. I seem to recall another knight who was fond of tricks. He once rode a mare in heat against a foe mounted on a bad-tempered stallion. What sort of trickery did Brienne use? Sir Loras flushed. She leapt. It makes no matter. She won. I grant her that. His Grace put a rainbow cloak around her shoulders, and she killed him, or let him die. A large difference there. The difference between my crime and the shame of Boris Blunt. She had sworn to protect him. Sir Emon Coy, Sir Robar Royce, Sir Parman Crane, they'd sworn as well. How could anyone have hurt him, with her inside his tent and the others just outside? Unless they were part of it. So from Clash Tyrion 8, it's said the Knight of Flowers went mad when he saw the king's body and slew 3 of Renly's guards in his wrath, among them Emon Coy and Robar Royce. So is Parman Crane the 3rd guard? I think so, but
I think so too, but
they always say these 2, Emon Coy and Robar Royce, and a 3rd, and we never are really told that Parman Crane was slain there or not, as far as I can tell. I don't know. There were 5 of you at the wedding feast, Jacob pointed out. How could Joffrey die unless you were part of it? Loras drew himself up stiffly. There was nothing we could have done. The wench says the same. She grieves for Renly as you do. I promise you, I never grieve for Aerys. Brienne's ugly and pighead stubborn, but she lacks the wits to be a liar, and she is loyal past the point of sense. She swore an oath to bring me to King's Landing. Here I sit. This hand I lost, well, that was my doing as much as hers. Considering all she did to protect me, I have no doubt that she would have fought for Renly. There'd been a foe to fight, but a shadow? Jaime shook his head. Draw your sword, Sir Loras. Show me how you'd fight a shadow. I should like to see that. Loras made no move to rise. She fled, he said. She and Catelyn Stark. They left him in his blood and ran. Why would they if it was not their work? He stared at the table. Renly gave me the van. Otherwise, it would have been me helping him don his armor. He often entrusted that task to me. We had prayed together that night. As we joked at the time, is that what the kids are calling it these days? I left him with her. Sir Parman and Sir Emon were guarding the tent, and Sir Robar Royce was there as well. Sir Emon swore Brienne had, although, yes, Jaime prompted, sensing a doubt. The gorget was cut through. One clean stroke through a steel gorget. Renly's armor was the best, the finest steel. How could she do that? I tried myself, and it was not possible. She's freakish strong for a woman, but even the mountain would have needed a heavy axe. And why armor him and then cut his throat? He gave Jaime a confused look. If not her, though, how could it be a shadow? Ask her. Jaime came to a decision. Go to her cell. Ask her questions and hear her answers. If you're still convinced that she murdered Lord Renly, I will see that she answers for it. The choice will be yours. Accuse her or release her. All I ask is that you judge her fairly on your honor as a knight. Sir Loras stood. I shall. On my honor. We are done then. The younger man started for the door, but there he turned back. Renly thought she was absurd. A woman dressed in man's mail, pretending to be a knight. If he'd ever seen her in pink satin and Mirish lace, he would not have complained. I asked him why he kept her close. He thought her so grotesque. He said that all his other knights wanted things of him, castles or honors or riches. But all Brienne wanted was to die for him. So this reminds me of Aegon and Duck. Catelyn also pitied Brienne, and both Cat and Renly believed in her, even if they pitied her, thought that she looked terrible, right? I mean, people are like, "Oh, this is so terrible." I'm like, I don't know. I mean, everybody thinks this of her. But Renly and Cat definitely still think that of her, but also trust her.
Right.
Anyway.
I mean, people's opinions are their opinions. I mean, they're not. I mean, you can't hide your true opinion from yourself, or in this case,
His audience here is Loras, right? Who's probably jealous.
Well,
Anyway.
there's also the possibility that Renly lied to Loras to protect his feelings.
Pretended like he was as disgusted at this concept as Loras was, but he really wasn't. Right? Because that's why I'm saying his audience is Loras, who might even be jealous of the fact that she's getting close to him and so forth.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, there's also,
it reminds me in a good way of Aegon and Duck, like in a good way. This reminds me of, well, that's not an appropriate person to be your Kingsguard. Yes, it is. She will die for me. That's all I require, right? Yeah. I mean, he believes that she'll do a good job. That's the point. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Kingsguards shouldn't be political appointments. They're there for a reason. Their skill and their loyalty should be the only two things that matter.
Right. And so what I'm saying is that this makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
When I saw him all bloody, with her fled and the three of them unharmed, if she's innocent, then Robar and Emmond did not seem to say the words. Jamie not stopped to consider that aspect of it. I would have done the same, sir. The lie came easy, but Sir Loras seemed grateful for it. Because Jamie would never murder 3 innocent guards protecting the parent of the king in the north when the only man he loves is taken from him. The only person Jamie is lying to is himself. See Triplet Targaryen's episode 6. When he was gone, the Lord Commander sat alone in the White Room, wondering. The Knight of Flowers had been so mad with grief for Renly that he'd cut down 2 of his own sworn, 3 probably, his own sworn brothers. It had never occurred to Jamie to do the same with the 5 who had failed Joffrey. He was my son, my secret son. What am I, if I do not lift the hand I have left to avenge mine own blood and seed? He ought to kill Sir Boros at least, just to be rid of him. He looked at his stump and grimaced. I must do something about that. If late Sir Jocelyn Bywater could wear an iron hand, he should have a gold one. Cersei might like that. A golden hand to stroke her golden hair and hold her heart against me. His hand could wait, though. There were other things to tend to first. There were other debts to pay.
Lannister always pays their debts.
Up next, Storm 68, Sansa 6. A man will tell you poison is dishonorable, but a woman's honor is different. The mother shaped us to protect our children, and our only dishonor is in failure. You'll know that when you have a child. So strange that Lysa thinks it's okay to poison someone for your child. Why would she possibly tell us that?
I wonder.
So
this is the chapter we get kind of up close and personal with Lothar Brute.
We're pretty far over here. I did want to say that Elio commented that he had 2 meals with George at the con, at World Con, and that he said that George was more chipper about wins than he's seen him in at least a long time, if not ever. What else? Yeah. And then I really liked Toodles. Well, we were talking there a little bit about the Red Sky and the legendary. So one of the things Toodles likes is this idea that maybe child of 3 means that Dany is actually a child with 3 parents. And I do think that the term interregnum that George uses in the Thousand Worlds is perhaps a reference to the Red Sky. The Red Sky is the legendary king of Scotland, I believe, who had 3 fathers. He was
Scotland or Ireland?
I think it's Scotland.
Okay. I thought you said when we were talking earlier it was Ireland, but I could be wrong.
Legendary king. Luca Maria. Red Sky. I say Red Sky, but anyway. 7 of the 3 sons. Oh, it is Irish. You're right. I apologize.
My memory, I mean, yay!
Okay. Anyway, yeah, he's conceived of incest, and then he was the mother coupling and so forth. But the interregnum in Irish legend would be the 5-year gap before he comes to power. 5-year gap. And George originally intended there be a 5-year gap, and then these children of 3 potentially, right, were going to come to power after a 5-year gap. And his major event in his Thousand Worlds is called the interregnum, and the 5-year gap is called the interregnum. And I'm like, so yeah, this concept that they're literally children of 3, that they literally have 3 parents.
That's how the parents.
Yeah. He thinks Arthur Dane along with Rhaegar and Lyanna. Now, Lyanna, his latest from just this month. Oh man, I love this one. He thinks Lyanna is a secret Targaryen, and so you've got this Lane Pipe and Dorne comment about strongly seems to imply that maybe Oberyn is the half mad. Oberyn is in fact half mad king. I really like this because so he starts to get specifically the Starks come to visit him in at about the right time for Lyanna to be secret Targaryen bastard, and he starts talking at that point about how he wants to go north and build another wall and all this stuff, right? And so it seems to parallel with the idea of him going to Dorne and Lane Pipe and Dorne. And you've got this concept of Joanna Lannister being a Lannister. If you were to hyphenate her first and last, her last name, her maiden name and her last name, she'd be Lannister. And Lyanna Stark would be a Lyanna Stark if you were to hyphenate her maiden name and her name as a cousin that married that married Rickard Stark, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, there's some interesting parallels there between Joanna and having secret bastards, and Lyanna Stark and having secret bastard, and then you've got this concept that the magic Targaryen blood almost can't resist, and that you kind of need the Targaryens to be on the X side for things to work right. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of see that. It's kind of interesting that you're kind of getting both some Targaryen and some Stark into the bloodline at the same time, right? And getting the Stark or getting the Targaryen from the correct side, which is the X side and so forth. And I'm like, I kind of like it.
Yeah. Well, you know me, I love a new theory and a new way of thinking. But on the child of 3, you had said something about each child looking like.
Well, the Red Sky actually looks like 1/3 of him looks like one of his fathers, and 1/3 of him looks like another one of his fathers, and 1/3 of him looks like another one of his fathers.
Okay. Now I was taking that to the 11 that each child
of the triplets could have their own father.
All look like which if there's only 2 fathers, 1 mother, then each child looks like one of the parents. So you have one that looks like a Targaryen, you have one that looks like a Stark, and you have one that looks like a Dane. Now Dany would be the Targaryen, and this throws Jon back in the mix of being the middle child, the male, which I don't like. I can't stand that. But he looks like Lyanna, and Val looks like a Dane.
Yeah. And it becomes interesting that then Arthur Dane is the one that takes Val to the north. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't shoot me. I hate that. I mean, I'm all on Jon Stark being the true heir to Winterfell and the King of Winter. And I've said it before: the powers that be do not care that Torrhen Stark bent the knee to House Targaryen. The Lords of Winterfell, the Wardens of the North, in the old god's eyes, all along have been the Kings of Winter. And Jon is that true-born heir and is the King of Winter. So, okay.
Yep.
I told you I was talkative today. I'm sorry. We ran over a little bit.
That's all right. We're not even 50 minutes. We're right at 50 minutes over. So, yeah.
I'm still saying we need to do a Toodles shout out video, big time.
I don't know that I know his stuff well enough and enough of it to do that, but
Well, I mean, the way you write scripts, and on that one, I would actually have to follow the script with you. But the way you write scripts from your Trip of Targaryens to these live streams, I mean, I have full faith in you that you would be able to cover the bases. As you, as Lady Thistle is my Google, you are my encyclopedia.
sure.
I'm just soaking in the knowledge. Oh, and everybody might have noticed since Chris has gotten back from the Bahamas with my Bahama hat that apparently he doused with boat bugs to get me sick. I have somehow retired the cowboy hat for now. Just very appreciative of the hat. I love the hat, so I've been wearing the hat. So, and in his honor, he's a big, huge Florida Gator fan. So, I wore his shirt in honor of that. But okay. That was a really nice Jamie chapter. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's almost the Loris is the Valakar chapter.
Yeah, the making him little in the chapter definitely just jumps out at you, especially when you pointed it out before we even started.
Well, I just like the fact that he's being said. He's even, one thing I didn't talk about in that is he's literally sending him, right, that we've got Tyrion, who is accompanied by Sansa, who's the echo of Catelyn, and we've got Brienne, who is accompanied by Catelyn, who, and Catelyn and Sansa have disappeared and got away, but these two got arrested, and the crime is kingslaying.
Yeah.
And Jamie's going to get one of them out, and he's sending Loras to get the other one out.
There you go.
Where's the crow?
Yeah, giving you love, bud. Giving you love. Okay. I know we went over. Sorry. It was good though.
Yeah, it was a good stream.
Friday's Sansa.
Yep.
At least I had Jamie this week. I mean,
yeah, this one's probably nobody's favorite Sansa.
yeah. Well, I mean, her chapters are getting better as the book goes along. I will give her that. Or I'll give George the credit for.
We definitely get this whole recognition thing in that chapter, right? And it's kind of echoing with the Oswell with her lack of identity. We talked in our last chapter about her not recognizing Oswell right away, right?
Yeah.
And then Osmond not recognizing Jamie right away, even though there's a strong family resemblance in Jamie and his family. There's a strong family resemblance between Oswell and his family, and there's a strong family resemblance between Sansa and especially Catelyn, right?
Right.
And so having her aunt who knew Catelyn better than anybody, then not immediately recognize her is more of the same kind of thing, right? And it goes right along with this whole family resemblance we just
hide in plain sight.
Jamie.
Yeah. But all right. I appreciate that. It was a really good video. Or live stream. I don't know why I keep calling them videos. Thank you everybody for joining us. I know it went over a little bit, but what are you gonna do? Shoot the messenger? But y'all take care. Thank y'all for joining us.
Talk about those things. I'm glad we did.
Yeah. I wish we had more time. There's more we need to talk about, but maybe we'll try to get to them Friday. But we will see y'all Friday. Take care. Have a good week. Bye. Bye, Richard.